This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
As the COVID-19 pandemic continues, RTV6 is putting the focus on the positive things happening in our community. Thanks for joining us here at 11 o'clock. I'm Nicole Griffin. Tonight, hundreds of families who have been impacted financially by the coronavirus are now able to cook dinner and feed their children for at least the next few days. It's all thanks to a big helping hand from a local church. The line full of cars waiting to pull into Lakeview Church Saturday is a visual example of how the coronavirus pandemic is impacting local families.
The need is so great that basically traffic's backed up in both directions. It sounds like about a half a mile to more.
Each person waiting to get a bag full of donated groceries. Pastor Ron Bontrager says they partnered with Gleaners Food Bank, Lyndhurst Baptist Church, and Chapel Rock Christian Church to help feed the community.
Just working together. You know, this thing is so much bigger than any one of us. There's not a single church that could feed everybody. But as we band together and work with agencies here in our city, hopefully we'll make a small dent in this need, but it's overwhelming.
The goal of Saturday's food drive was to feed 700 to 800 families.
But so many people coming through today have been laid off, and we just want to encourage them that there are people here in our community that care.
When I came here 9 o'clock this morning, you realize how many people are in need and who are crying out for needs that they need to feed their family, because a lot of people don't have an income right now.
It's tough seeing this. It definitely isn't something you see every day or that happens to you every day.
Among the many volunteers from the church bagging up food was Keith Johnson, a Vietnam veteran. He says during the time he served, he didn't understand exactly what was going on in the world. It's a similar feeling many might have today.
But I knew if I jumped that hurdle, that I would get through the situation, and that's what we're trying to do with this coronavirus. We're going to jump this hurdle, and we're all going to make it.
We've not seen this kind of work stoppage. We've not seen this kind of shutdown of churches and schools. And so it has just an incredibly unsettling feeling to it.
Pastor Bontrager hopes by providing food to families, it gives them hope and encourages them not to give up.
I think it's just very important to realize you're not alone and that you have others in the community that are here for you and are doing their very best to help out.
Lakeview Church has a food pantry every month, but they realize the need is so great right now, which is why they held that food drive today. The church will have virtual service for Easter tomorrow at 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Now to the latest numbers from the State Department of Health. Today we learned 30 more people have died from COVID-19 and more than 7,400 people have tested positive. Altogether, a total of 330 people have died from the coronavirus and 537 more people have been diagnosed since Friday. More than 39,000 people have been tested in Indiana. Starting on Monday, the city of Kokomo is taking steps to stop the spread of the virus. In a tweet sent today, the city is notifying all riders who use the trolley line and the Spirit of Kokomo that they must have a face covering. Face coverings will not be provided. The state health department reports 46 people have tested positive in Howard County for the virus and 4 people have died. Survivors of COVID-19 now have a way to help critically ill patients who are currently battling the disease. IU Health is asking people who have recovered and have been symptom-free for 28 days to donate their plasma. An IU Health spokesman says their blood may contain antibodies that are able to fight and control the virus. These antibodies can then be transfused to patients who are struggling. IU Health says this is an investigational new drug and it could prove to be successful. Donors must be able to prove that they had COVID-19. We have all the details on the steps that donors can take right now on the RTV6 app. Tonight, the COVID-19 pandemic restrictions are hitting an Indianapolis family hard. RTV6's Troy Washington is showing us how neighbors are working together to help this family out during these tough times.
Through this all, we've been strong.
Over the last few months, Nicole Lauer has had her share of unsettling news.
We found out she had to have a double mastectomy, so she had it December 23rd. And we didn't get out of the hospital until Christmas Day.
First, the holidays, overshadowed by her mother being diagnosed with cancer in November. Then
they had to amputate So we had I rushed them to 86th Street because I know that they have really good care and good doctors and specialists there. They amputated. Then he was diagnosed with, right before that, stage 3 cirrhosis of the liver.
Then her father losing his legs. On top of it all, COVID-19 isn't making coping any easier because of social distancing. The family couldn't go inside to visit her dad during rehabilitation, but they still showed up to his window to sing and raise his spirits. Even as the coronavirus forces space between this family, they say nothing can break their bond.
I had my neighbors built a ramp the day they found out my dad was having his first amputation.
The Harden family didn't ask if the family needed anything. Instead, they got to work, helping the family make their new normal a smooth transition.
I say thank you, and they just say, we're just being the church. We can't go to church, so we have to be the church.
Working for you, Troy Washington, RTV6.
Troy, thank you. Indianapolis native Kenneth Babyface Edmonds says he is recovering after testing positive for COVID-19. In a tweet, Babyface, who turned 62 Friday, thanked everyone for their birthday wishes, but urged people to stay home. He says he feels blessed to celebrate another birthday as he recovers from the coronavirus. Babyface says it's an incredibly scary thing to go through, but he is happy to report he and his family have now tested negative and are now on their way back to full health. You might want to check your bank account for some extra money. The Internal Revenue Service says it has made the initial waves of stimulus payments today. The IRS says direct deposits will continue over the next several days. The agency is starting with people who have provided banking information while filing taxes the past few years. But people who haven't used direct deposit will get checks by mail. That could take weeks or even months. Only people under the income limit are eligible for single filers. That's $75,000 per year. They get a $1,200 check. Joint filers who made less than a combined $150,000 last year will get $2,400. The money is from Congress's $2.2 trillion stimulus package. It's aimed at keeping Americans and the economy afloat during the coronavirus. Now to your Storm Team 6 forecast. Meteorologist Kyle Mountain standing by. Kyle, it turned out to be a nice Saturday.
Yeah, it really did. Some sunshine out there this afternoon and temperatures that made their way into the 60s, and it's still pretty comfortable out there tonight. We've got numbers in the lower 50s, and you notice there's a pocket here where we've got some 40s. That's also where we've had some more substantial rain this evening, even a few rumbles of thunder here between Rockville and the Greencastle area. No severe weather. May see a little bit of tiny hail out of this. Shouldn't be damaging at all. That will continue to push east into the Lebanon area. We've got some more moderate rain around Lafayette, east of Delphi through Logansport. This will slide into Kokomo over the next half hour, and you can see some more light to moderate rain stretching from the southeast side of the city into North Vernon and approaching Greensburg. So we'll pretty quickly see this band of rain moving to the east, and by tomorrow morning, cloudy skies, just a couple of isolated showers to start off our Easter Sunday with sunrise at 7:11. We'll take you through the rest of your Sunday in just a few minutes.
Kyle, thank you. Still ahead on the news at 11, how a fellow officer is honoring the life and legacy of IMPD officer Breanne Leith, who was killed in the line of duty. And churches everywhere have to get creative this Easter. COVID-19 means new ways to worship. But some churches vow Easter services will go on as usual despite rules about social distancing.
Working for you. This is RTV6 News at 11. Working for you.
Tonight, the city of Indianapolis continues to mourn the loss of IMPD officer Breanne Leith, who was killed in the line of duty on Thursday. On that night, the city was lit up in blue to honor healthcare workers and first responders on the front lines of the COVID-19 pandemic. The display also took on a new meaning following the loss of Officer Leith. IMPD officer Ron Shelnut produced this powerful video with footage captured that night on Monument Circle.
Tonight, we mourn the loss of a true hero whose name will forever remind us of the honor, the courage, and the strength of our police officers. Light a candle, say a prayer, hug your family, and in that moment, remember how lucky we are to have brave men and brave women like Officer Leith in our city tonight and every night.
Officer Leith is remembered as a true public servant, described by fellow officers as dedicated and compassionate, a hero who was an example of what an IMPD officer should be. Community members wishing to donate in her honor can contribute to the Brianne Leith Memorial Fund by the Central Indiana Police Foundation. Lighted blue on Monument Circle will continue each night until Officer Leith is laid to rest. And this just into the RTV6 newsroom. Funeral arrangements for Officer Brianne Leith will be held this Thursday, April 16th at 11 a.m. at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. However, because of the current restrictions under the coronavirus, the public will not be able to attend in person, and there will be no public visitation. Instead, you are invited to participate in the funeral service by watching it online. Officers in attendance will remain in their vehicles to honor Officer Leith prior to the beginning of the service. We will have more details in the coming days. New at 11, this was the scene just a short time ago at Lebanon Christian Church, where people put lights on their cars, and there was a short service for a 43-year-old woman who died from colon cancer. Family members say Dawn Boyer was so loved, and they are so happy that the church found a unique way to celebrate her life.
And this was a way for our church body, her church body, to express to us their love and support at this time. And it's unique because you can't meet. So we're meeting in this parking lot. They've put it all together. They love my daughter. She was one that was filled with the love of Christ and wanted to build everybody up. And so this is their way to help build us up.
Under the governor's stay-at-home order, funeral services are considered essential, but gatherings of more than 10 people are prohibited. Once the service was over tonight, people were able to drive by the family to send their condolences. Virtual Passover Seders and streaming Holy Week Masses are just a few of the ways that the faithful are practicing their religion during this time of social distancing. But some communities are defying orders to stay at home and avoid large gatherings. Here's ABC's Rachel Scott with the details.
At a time when many are turning to their faith for comfort, churches, synagogues, and mosques are empty.
A virus doesn't care what your religion is. Pain and suffering is the great unifier. Sometimes when pain comes, it causes people to turn to God, and it causes other people to turn away from God.
The streets of Jerusalem, holy to all three major religions, empty. Many now finding creative ways to worship. Passover Seders being held virtually, and Holy Week services are being live streamed. New Orleans Archbishop Gregory Amen and Rabbi Alexis Erdheim flying separately over the city, asking for God's blessing. This pastor in Ohio printing photos of his parishioners.
It was an amazingly prayerful moment to be in a quiet chapel, kind of in the dark. And every time I put a picture up, I could, remember the people who I was praying for and think about them.
Earlier this week, Vice President Mike Pence said he will attend the virtual Easter services of his Indiana church from his living room. In Arizona, Pastor Nathan Bentley had planned to host Easter services outside, providing masks and limiting participation. But those plans canceled after many feared it was a disaster waiting to happen.
I want the community to know that I'm truly sorry to cause fear. That was never my intent. We want the safety of our neighbors. We want the best for our neighbors. And so I humbly apologize.
But communities are defying social distancing guidelines. The Supreme Court in Kansas hearing arguments to determine whether congregations can gather with more than 10 people.
With a shockingly irresponsible decision that will put every Kansas life at risk.
Overseas, Pope Francis celebrating Easter Vigil Mass in an empty St. Peter's Basilica. And in Germany, drive-in theaters are making a comeback, cathedrals of cars. Rachel Scott, ABC News, Washington.
Rachel, thank you. There could be a reason you're snacking more than usual during this coronavirus pandemic. Isolation can feel like hunger to the human brain. That's according to a preliminary report from researchers at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. It's reportedly the first study in humans that shows how loneliness and hunger have the same signals in a part of the brain. Researchers say they found the human's body's need to connect is as fundamental as our need to eat. The scientists have been studying this for 3 years. While grocery store chains like Kroger and Trader Joe's are buckling down on returns, other retailers are actually loosening their policies. Apple was always pretty strict with enforcing their 14-day return window, but since their stores are closed, they're giving customers 14 days from whenever they reopen. Target won't take any in-store returns until at least April 16th. After that, they'll give customers 3 weeks to bring in items purchased before then. Kohl's and Macy's already have huge return windows, but they're extending them even more. Kohl's customers have 180 days, but for the first 30 days after they're reopened, they will take items purchased outside of that time frame too. And Macy's is giving customers 120 days on most items. Just because you can't travel doesn't mean you can't see the world right now. Airbnb is now offering a series of virtual experiences. For a few bucks, you could book a pasta class with an Italian grandma or meet the dogs of Chernobyl. They also have lots of services like guided meditation, workouts, fortune telling. Price ranges from about $0 to $40. Kyle.
Quick look back here on this Saturday night. It was 55 years ago that 10 tornadoes hit Indiana as part of the Palm Sunday tornado outbreak in 1965. Unfortunately, 137 Hoosiers were killed that day. 1,200 more were injured. In all, 47 tornadoes hit 6 states in the Midwest. That in 1965. And tomorrow, we are looking at the potential for some severe weather, especially across the Gulf Coast states here. That's where it looks like the focus of the thunderstorm activity will be. However, as we get into our Sunday night, we do have a marginal risk across much of central Indiana and even a slight risk Bloomington into the Bedford and Seymour areas here that we could see some strong to severe storms, primarily gusty winds, a little bit of hail, just an isolated tornado threat for us as we go into tomorrow night. But here's a look at the satellite and radar now. Nothing severe out there tonight, not anticipating that, but we will have that rain continuing to spread through. And again, a couple rumbles of thunder out there tonight, but temperatures are on the cooler side as far as any strong thunderstorm potential would be out there. We're at 47 right now in Martinsville, 49 in Bloomington, while we're still sitting in the lower 50s in the Circle City. And by tomorrow morning, temperatures will start off in the upper 40s to around 50 degrees, so I don't think we'll see those numbers moving too far from where they are right now. Your Easter Sunday forecast, those temperatures getting into the middle 50s here for the noon hour, and then we'll get to 61 for the afternoon high. It will be a gray day, it will be a breezy day, and occasionally some scattered showers, but TrueCast continuing to come in a little more dry here during the daylight hours of our Sunday, so maybe actually some time to get outdoors tomorrow with temperatures making their way right around that 60-degree mark. Pretty seasonal here for the early to middle part of April, but it's Sunday night that we really start to see more of those thunderstorms moving in. This is 2 o'clock in the morning, so overnight tomorrow night we see a line of showers and thunderstorms moving through, so we'll want to make sure that we've got the Storm Shield app loaded up and ready to go for any warnings that are issued, and that's going to carry right into our Monday morning here before it quickly races off to the northeast, and it will come in with some very gusty winds. Monday morning we could have gusts 50 to possibly 60 miles per hour, so a high wind watch is in effect for the northeast half of the state. 7-day planning forecast shows behind that some cooler air is going to take over. Highs are only in the 40s for much of next week, and we're going to have some chilly overnights too there. Some frost likely Wednesday and Thursday morning with temperatures starting off below the freezing mark. Nicole?
Kyle, thank you. It's one of the many services we take for granted, but imagine what it would be like if there's no one to pick up the trash, especially with so many people at home these days. Up next in Hiring Hoosiers, why this essential job just might be the right choice for you.
Forks online auction and virtual event.
RTV6 is proud to be working together with the United Way of Central Indiana. We're teaming up for the COVID-19 Community Economic Relief Fund. The initiative supports organizations that serve people and families affected by the pandemic. You can donate to the fund by texting HELP 2020 to 91999. Unemployment numbers are soaring right now, but this evening's Hiring Hoosiers is shining a light on the trash collection industry. Troy Washington is working for you to show appreciation for those who are still rolling up their sleeves to make sure trash is collected during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Obviously, basic sanitation is one of the things that keeps our city going.
In fact, there's an opening for a solid waste truck driver online right now in Marion County.
I think obviously our frontline workers, our life scientists and our healthcare workers deserve so much appreciation, and we want a little bit of love for our solid waste workers as well. These are the guys that are just doing their job day in and day out and keeping it as business as usual as possible for the rest of us.
Ben Easley is the spokesperson for the Department of Public Works. He tells RTV6 right now, with everything else going on in the country because of COVID-19, it makes a huge difference being able to maintain some normalcy. And that's what workers are giving people when they show up.
We're so proud of them and so supportive of them as they continue to go to work every single day. Solid waste providers are often the first people awake and up and reporting to their routes in the mornings. They are there early and they're working fast and working hard to get their routes done as soon as possible. Obviously, people are staying at home and producing more waste.
In search of a better understanding of what it's like working routes and picking up trash during the pandemic, I reached out to my father.
I've been trash picking about 39 years.
He was working, but took a break to tell us how it's going.
It hadn't stopped trash pickup or nothing. I mean, it's just never seen nothing like this. How people can't be around each other.
He agrees with Easley. Since people have more time on their hands, there's more to pick up. It's a first for him. Over the decades, he says the closest he's experienced to this would be working after a natural disaster. Regardless, the one thing that stands out, he says, is how happy people are to see them coming.
Waving and saying they appreciate us and all that. I mean, they like they're glad to see us.
Working for you, Troy Washington, RTV6.
Wars.
Leave it to the racing community to be among those to react to a need in the fight against COVID-19. And among the first to help is a company known for its quickness and safety. Day first on the Speedway company racing to help in this Sports Extra Spotlight.
You've seen what they make, the IndyCar chassis, one of the most recognizable race cars in the world. But it's what Dallara is doing inside this building in Speedway, which is being more recognized than ever.
At what point did you think, hey, we can help some people here?
Basically, whenever you're facing some emergency time, there's something, you're becoming more and more creative.
Inside the Dallara building in Speedway, Stefano DePonte and his crew are cutting material to be used for masks and gowns, material coming from Stitchworks in Indy, with finished products headed to Eskenazi Hospital.
Do you have any idea how long you'll be doing this, or whatever's needed is what's needed here?
I'm trying to help as much as I can, as much as they need it.
These machines usually cut carbon fiber cloth used in race car and aerospace components for a company that has gone all in. Back in its headquarters in Italy, where the coronavirus continues to hit hard, the company's namesake, Giampaolo Dallara, has directed the development of a new mask, which could help victims early on.
We are receiving components to put at least a sample, a prototype here at Dallara USA, and give it to somebody who wants to try to see if it can be of any beneficial.
A group race fans usually see, but rarely hear from.
As a fan of motorsports and someone who's deeply involved in this sport, could you ever have dreamed of doing something like this in such a needy time like this?
Honestly, no. I think I was talking to my boss yesterday, which is very, obviously, Mr. Dallara is very concerned and worried, of course, like all the businessmen with employees' responsibilities.
Bottom line, do you feel like you're making a difference, Stefano?
I want to go back like everyone else in our business to meet people at the racetrack and go back to normal.
Making a difference safely and quickly. It's the Dallara way. Day first, RTV6 Sports.
Dave, thank you. RTV6 is committed to showing how communities are working together during the pandemic. Stories as simple as just bringing joy to others. This weekend, communities across central Indiana are getting creative when it comes to celebrating Easter. In Greenwood, 2 local DJs who are normally busy with weddings and events during this time of year decided to drive through local neighborhoods. Mike Gamble and Tim Wood put on a mobile show playing children's songs. The Easter Bunny was also along for the ride.
The Easter Bunny was awesome. It was a great surprise. This is the first time since the lockdown that we've been able to be this close to our family.
I think it was awesome. I thought it was pretty nice. It was pretty nice to come outside and get to see my family and then hear Michael Jackson coming down the street.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter. Well, families in the neighborhood where they passed through also had their own Easter decorations out to celebrate. Families in LaPel also got a visit from the Easter Bunny today as they are staying home due to the virus. The Easter Bunny wanted to let the kids know they were not forgotten. Families shared videos and pictures using the hashtag Bunny on the truck. In an effort to keep practicing social distancing, the truck did not stop and the Easter Bunny did not pass out any candy. Nice and sunny in that shot, Kyle.
Yeah, it was a nice afternoon, but we've got the showers back across central Indiana. Again, a couple rumbles of thunder are possible. We'll have some scattered showers out there tomorrow, but mild. We're back in the 60s.
All right, Kyle, thank you. And thank you for joining us. Have a great night.